Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Stephen Endacott, digital ghost creator and entrepreneur, and also an UK's first AI MP. We'll talk all about that. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Hi.
Welcome. So, Steve, for your listeners, as we were talking before, we will be talking about a lot things about ghost creator. You are a digital ghost creator, so we'll talk about life after life with artificial intelligence. We'll talk all about that. But first, Steve, for the listeners, if you can tell a bit more about your journey, your background, so that people know who they are listening to.
Oh, okay. Unusual background. I had a corporate career in travel. I used to run the largest tour operator in Europe, My Travel, with about 6,000 staff, a big corporate job. Left and had an entrepreneurial career where I started an insurance business, a transfer business, got lucky, sold them for a lot of money, and been semi-retired since 2019 and invested in other projects.
Right.
So one of those projects was a incubator. About 18 months ago, two young guys approached me, very smart guys, with an idea, an AI idea. And I went, no. I don't want one idea out of you. I want 10. And I want you to get loads of young people out of universities, out of their master's degrees, and we can employ them. And we're paying them salary, £30,000. And then one day a week, they work on their own idea. Within 6 months, they've got to get that idea approved, and it'll be half their time. And then we're helping them spin out as a separate business, and we put the FD in, the managing director, the sales director, because quite often they'll be the CTO, the technical guys, but don't know how to run a business. And we've had a couple of spin outs of that already. The first one is Neural Voice. And really interesting tech. It allows you to link to the large language models. Everybody knows about large language models, ChatGPT, etc. But to actually talk to them. Why would you type when you can just talk? Because they're conversational. They remember what you said before. You can build on that. And they built me a platform, and I used that to create AI Steve, which I'm sure you'll probably have a few questions about.
Absolutely. We'll cover the ghost, but let us get into this whole thing about this AI MP, which is, in my mind since I've read about your profile, is that so? Tell us a bit about you being UK's first AI MP. So where do you get? Can you become a part of this shadow cabinet? It's almost like that AI MP.
Yeah, so it came from an idea in a pub, and a lot of our ideas do. And basically, the guys knew I was very politically active, but very frustrated that it existed politicians, because most of them have never had a job. They've only ever been politicians. The last 5 prime ministers in the UK all went to Oxford or Cambridge. So we have an elite system where we're managed by the elite who've never had proper jobs. And I wanted more businessmen to be involved. And the other thing I felt that is the UK population would become disconnected from their MPs, because we stand every 4 years, we make promises, we bugger off to Parliament, and we don't talk to them again. So I wanted to create a AI MP that was available 365 days a year, 24/7. And we created a database of all my ideas. And when you go to the site, you click a button and you can talk to AI Steve, and he can talk to you about all of his policies. But more importantly, he captures what the voters want him to create a policy on. Every night that's consolidated, gives me a report, and I create new policies, or human beings create policies. And then those policies, because they could be distorted left or right wing, have to pass a different group of people called the validators, who are just commuters that go on the train up to London and back 2 hours a day. And they're the common man, common woman. And they have to go, yeah, this is sensible. And if it's sensible, it becomes a policy. So it's a radical new approach where politicians have to do what they're told. I don't think you've got many of those, have you? Because we certainly haven't.
Right. So I want to understand this now in the term in form of a digital ghost you talk about? People generally are scared of ghosts. People don't want to see ghosts. And if anyone talks about ghosts, it is okay to watch a movie about ghosts. But if you talk about ghosts, you are really scared. Why do you want to create digital ghosts? Steve, tell us a bit about that. What sort of ghosts are you talking about? The scary ones or the ephemeral ones?
Well, first of all, I don't use the word ghost. So you created that one. We talk about life echoes. Okay. And this builds upon the tech we built for AI Steve. So AI Steve has his own database of policies, and I had to record all those policies. And when you talk to him, it goes off to that database and then talks only about what's in that database. And somebody said to me, well, that's great. You've recorded all your political views. What about all your travel career? What about all your life? And again, this time not in the pub. I was in a restaurant with my wife. And we started with this idea about, well, why don't we create an autobiography? So how Life Echo, not digital ghost, Life Echoes works is, why should only rich people have an autobiography? Why should only famous people be recorded? So you will know something about your parents. You'll know something about your grandparents. You will know diddly squat about your great-great-parents. You may look up an ancestry and find out their name, but you have no idea who they were, no idea what they did. So why can't everybody just record what we call a digital echo or an autobiography? So basically, the tech is very simple. You press one button, an AI server will interview you over 5 45-minute interviews about your life. And it starts off with your early life, where you're born, etc. You know, what weight were you when you were born? Moves on to your education, your family, your work, and basically captures your entire life in an echo. It doesn't download you. It's not creating a ghost. It's not your soul. It's creating a knowledge base about your life. It's translated it into a written autobiography. And that written autobiography forms a basis for a large language model character that can then talk in your voice to any of your friends and relatives, and you choose who it talks to. And it can do that when you're alive, but most importantly, it can do it when you're dead. So even after 20 years, your next great grandchildren can look up your life echo and listen to you and chat to you about what you did in your life. So it's quite radical, but it's a genealogical tool. But there are some tools that we're offering for funerals that people are getting a little bit, not sure about that.
Right. So what are the, nowadays in every sphere of all this technology we talk about use cases. What are the use cases of this, you can say, afterlife avatar or something like that, whatever may be one, you call it life sequel. From a common person's perspective, it is like a new life after one is gone. So help us understand the cases that you have in mind.
No, it's not a new life. You're dead and you stay dead. Let's be very clear. This is not immortality. You have a life and you go, if depending on what your religion is, you go off somewhere else. All we're doing is leaving a record or echo of your time on Earth that documents, just like an autobiography. So there's nothing controversial about creating an autobiography. Where the controversy comes in is how we deal with funerals. So in the UK, the large amount of people are cremated because we don't have space to bury people. But there's a worrying trend since COVID. In 2019, only 3% of people were direct cremated. What we mean by that is they go from the hospital to cremation, nobody present, actually sent back to the relatives. That is now increased to 28%. And it's all about saving money. So the average cost of a funeral in the UK is £4,114. To have a direct funeral costs you £1,500. So people can't afford funerals. So they're packing off the bodies of their loved ones to be cremated, but they're losing out on that closure moment. So we're creating with Life Echo the ability to host your own funeral. Now that may sound a bit creepy when you say it, but what we mean by that is we're creating the last word so you can give your own speech at your own funeral. Yeah. We're also having a big red book that you can hand around. It's got your autobiography and all your photos in to remember your life. And if you want to, at the funeral, you can chat to the deceased person about their life. Now, some people think that's creepy. Some think that's ghosts. I just think it's a practical, cost-effective way of ensuring your life is celebrated and you have a closure event. And it's basically AI technology coming into our real world and saying, you could do this, and why wouldn't you do this? So we called it in the UK a Marmite product. And that means you'll either hate it or you'll love it. So it's not for everybody, but for some people, it has a practical user case.
Right, Steve. Some people want you to are saying that you are going to burn in hell, going to that extreme. Why? Why do they want to? Why
Well,
saying like this?
this is quite mild, actually. So when I stood as a politician, I had death threats where somebody put an axe into my head, an axe into my computer. And I sillily reacted to that by emailing back and saying, see if you can find the plug. And what I learned from that is you don't antagonize mad people. So on this particular case, we've had only one Catholic. The vast majority of Catholics we've talked to are quite happy with the product. But we've had one Catholic email me saying, this is against my religion. You're going to burn in hell forever. And I hope God strikes you down dead immediately for creating such a blasphemous project. Okay, that's their opinion. Coming back to it, we are not disrespecting any religion. Every single religion says you have a time on earth and you go somewhere else. We're just creating an autobiography of that time on earth and helping people during the grieving process. Because it's the people that are left behind that suffer the most through death. When you're dead, as far as I'm concerned. You might go off somewhere, but you're dead. But there's a lot of people left behind that miss you. And if you can not damage the grieving process, and we have an ethics committee staffed by a psychologist, by a well-known author on the grieving process, by a celebrant, by a funeral director, and they sit around the table with us and they guide us on what's good and what's not good. So, for example, commercially, we've restricted our revenue because we said you can only use the product to listen to an echo 1 hour a day without a break, because they're saying you can't disrupt the grieving process by allowing people to become too dependent on this technology. So there are dangers, but we're hopefully thinking through those dangers, being careful, respecting religion, and not trying to damage the grieving process, but bringing AI into the modern world. And sorry, it's out the genie's out the bottle. You're not putting AI back in. It's going to change the world. It's the Industrial Revolution. Get used to it.
Right, Steve. So tell me one thing in terms of, how will you keep this whole recording, which you call it as echo, life's echo, where will it be alive in its own form? Will it be in cloud? Will somebody, in Gmail? How does it work?
Okay, it's kept in the cloud, obviously, in computers, very securely. At any time while you're live, you can say, I want it scrubbed, I want it back, I want a copy of it. You own it, only the user owns it. The user has the option of saying who will listen to it, and they give us the names and the email addresses and phone numbers. And interestingly, they have to have executors after they die. Yep, so we call it administrative executors, and they have, in the setup process, they have to appoint an administrative executor who controls it after they're dead, and a deputy. And obviously those people can appoint people when they're getting older, because who controls their echo when they're dead? Well, basically they have to express their wishes, and they have to give control of that to the administrative executor. While they're alive, they can do what they like, and they can take it back. And when they're dead, the administrative executive controls it. So it's held securely, it's held in the computers. It will be there for centuries. Yet we can hold data for centuries at very low cost. And one of the things we're creating is interesting, is a death time guarantee. Because we've got to put some of our profits into a trust fund to make sure there's always money to run those computers for the next 100 odd years, because you're buying into a long-term project. It costs $4.99 to record your life's echo, and that's it. It costs more money, £20 an hour to listen to it, but we don't know how many people will listen to it, how many hours. So they just buy that when they want it. And it's a new product. Bit revolutionary, really, isn't it? Too
Yeah.
revolutionary?
It might create a revolution in that sense, that yes, the way the society, jokes apart, that society is moving into, and different things have to be, tackled in a different manner. And that is where, as I said, it's a new idea. People have to you are getting accustomed to this new idea, even in the UK. That's why those different ideas about your product are coming in. So that will happen. But I want to understand it from the audience. How many years? At least they have 100-year guarantee. Let me ask you one thing here. There was this whole project also about, if I remember, called it the cryogenics, where people can also keep their body or even the simple mind or head, so that in the belief that hundreds of years later, when some advanced version of ours will come, bring them to life. But several of these companies themselves folded, and
Yep.
those there were no takers, and only in a few years, even though they were guaranteeing for several, say maybe 1,000 years. I don't know how many are still running, but that is what I read in one of the articles several years back by someone who was very interested. So I learned about that. How do you guarantee about these things, Steve? Because you have also an end in life. Maybe
I'll be
your
dead.
people will
I'll be
talk to
gone.
your avatar about Steve. Where is our avatar? Where will we stay? How do you tackle that? Those
Let's
things.
answer that one at a time. Cryogenics is madness. If you put your body in a cryogenic chamber, hoping you can come back to life, in future, you are an idiot. You are mad, and it is never going to happen. We're talking about something completely difficult and different in terms of cost of maintaining. The cost of maintaining a lice echo record for a year is about £1.50. Yeah. So maintaining it for 100 years, is £150. So that's part of the lifetime guarantee that we're creating. That we have to put that amount of money aside, for the lifetime guarantee of 100 years. You put the money aside to make sure the computing power is there. And by the way, computer power is getting cheaper, not more expensive. Yeah. So I will be dead, but hopefully the company will be still going. And nobody can ever say, oh, our company will last for 100 years, because who knows? But at least we're thinking through the implications, putting in the guarantee, doing something about it by creating a trust fund, having a plan. Yeah. If anything did happen, we'll give those lice echoes back to the individuals, and they could keep it on a memory stick. So it's not that difficult, because it's a small digital record that's storable at a very low cost, not a cryogenic body. And by the way, you're dead, you're not coming back. We're not offering immortality. We're offering a life echo, an autobiography, a genealogical tool, nothing too evil.
Absolutely. You seem to be laying a lot of emphasis on you are dead. Means there are questions about you are keeping people alive in one way.
In every religion, when you're dead, you go somewhere else. There's no doubt that when you're dead after your time on Earth, you are dead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Steve, one last question I want to understand about this is, there is this whole fight going on online about the right to be forgotten. And a lot of people just want to be forgotten. Means you are here for once, you only live once, and then you are gone.
And how
You
did I
are
describe my product?
creating a difference. So how do you think this is part of that, or do you think against that, and there will be two sides which will keep on working within the family? There could be that, listen, he should be forgotten, and the one part of the family will say, the administration that you will keep, they will have two different ideas, they will fight.
Okay, so that's exactly why we have an executive administrator. So let's answer one thing at a time. As I said, it's a Marmite product. You will either love it or you'll hate it, and half the population will never, ever do it, and they want to disappear. No problem. The other half want to recreate this autobiography. They appoint an executor. Presumably, they appoint an executor to have similar views and want to implement their wishes. That executor, once they're gone, has complete and utter control. So if they decide to scrap that life echo, sorry, That's the executive's decision, because we're not getting involved in a family row about should you maintain it, shouldn't you maintain it, and who should have access to it. You appoint an executor, that executor after your death controls it. End of.
Right, right, Steve. In for your understanding, means how are you treating it? Are you treating it as a service to mankind, or are you treating it as a business?
Oh, you're getting a bit global, aren't you? Service to mankind. We believe it's an interesting development. It comes down to it. I wanted to leave an autobiography, so I've created one. When you create your life echo, you have an option of saying exactly who can listen to it, only friends and relatives, maybe 5 or 6 people. Or if you're an egotistical idiot like me, you can publish it. So I've published mine, yeah? So anybody can listen to it. So is it a business? Yes, it is a business. It can be highly profitable if we get to large scale. Is it trying to do good? Yes, we believe it is, because we've got the ethics committee trying to guide us through that. I'll give another example. We're going to give 5% of all licenses away to charities and to people going through assisted dying. I don't know if you know, in the UK, we've just approved assisted dying, and it takes you about 5 to 6 weeks to get approval to kill yourself in the way you want to die, because you don't want to die of dementia, or you don't want to die of painful cancer. And we think it's great to give free copies of the product to those people, because it's a terrible time for them. And they're leaving behind people that will be grieving. And if we can help that process, I think we're doing good. So taking some of the profits, we will make a profit, but we're trying to do good, and we're trying to invest that back in to doing things that actually help other people. So yes, it's profit, but it has a charitable angle. We've got an ethics committee driving that, trying to say, how do we do good?
Right. What next for the product now?
I think it will probably get deeper and richer, and you'll record more about your life. So we're aiming the product is a giftable product for children to give to their parents on their 60th, 70th, 80th birthday, for Christmas, etc. Yeah. But why couldn't you start your life echo when you're in 20s? It's just a digital record of what you did and what you said. We're thinking about a product for when you're first born, creating a digital twin. So, because you don't remember anything about your first 5 years. So why can't your parents create a digital twin and record what you did and tell you all about your life? So later on, you can listen to what you did when you were young. So there's lots of ways we think the product can evolve and change and develop and spin out. We're just really keen to get it live, get it working, and get out there before other people do, because we won't be the only ones in the long term. One key thing you said before is, we're aiming at the UK market, but anybody can use this product from any country. It's a typical AI online product. It's in English at the moment, but we will be doing other language versions as we go ahead. And anybody can use it. So if you've got any listeners that want to have a play, come have a look at the beta site, and then we're ready for our full launch in February, March. They can register and be users.
Absolutely. There's much to learn about all these things, Steve, and I'm sure about all these things about life, afterlife, digital life, whatever way we may want to. And for all these things, a lot of people may want to connect with you, learn more from you, about you, and how they can get this product for themselves if they want to. So what's the best way for them to do so?
Just search on Google for Life's Echo. It's a really simple name. It describes what it does. It's easy to find on Google. If you can't find that immediately, find me, Steve Endacott. And if you want to find me easily, just type in AI Steve, because as the first MP in the UK, I've got global coverage, and there's a ridiculous amount of links that you can find me with. So hopefully that means you can find me easily. I'm going to challenge you back. You started the conversation by saying, I'm a digital ghost creator. Am I a digital ghost creator, or am I doing something probably a bit more intelligent and useful?
Well, that
Question to you.
that is for the public to find out for themselves. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much, Ajay.